Welcome to Storyvan TV. We're here today to interview Christine Smith. Christine and I met online from many miles apart, two different countries, in fact. And both of us have home based businesses. And what today we're going to share some really interesting tips and thoughts about what it's like to be successful in a home based business and what it really takes to stay in business. And we welcome you, Christine, today. I'm thrilled to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey from being to having your own home-based business?
Well, thank you for having me, Bonnie. My journey began 14 and a half years ago now, nearly. Myself and my husband had both been made redundant on the same day, and we had 3 young children. We've still got the children, they're just not so young anymore. And essentially, we just basically needed income. So I started another business, which wasn't network marketing. It was something different. And my husband was training to be a driving instructor. And whilst all that was happening and trying to get back on our feet, I just saw an advert one day, and it was for the Body Shop at Home. I've always loved the brand and loved the ethics, and I literally did not hesitate to register my interest. A lot of people told me that I shouldn't do it. 3 young children, aged 3 and under. The youngest 2 are twins. I'm starting up another business. I'd recently moved my elderly grandmother around the corner so that I could care for her. But they weren't paying my bills, and essentially we just needed that extra income just to get by. So I actually told everybody I was just going to do it for 6 months. So this was the end of June. I was going to do it for 6 months, just until Christmas, just to get us through this sticky spot. But back in those days, we still do parties, but my very first foray into the business side of things was a party, and I knew right from that very moment that there was no way that this was just going to be for 6 months. I absolutely loved it. Just got such a thrill, loved being with people, and loved the products, the feedback, everything, and just really saw the potential. So that's really where my journey began, and it's just grown over time. So we got to the Christmas. I was earning a really good income that made a huge difference to our family lives. And I had business lined up for the following year as well. So, who's going to walk away from that? And then it's just grown from there. It will be 9 years ago now that I did get to a stage where trying to spin so many plates, I was more or less working through the night and just exhausted. And it was actually on the 1st of October, 2013. I woke up exhausted, thinking today is like the start of the busiest 3 months of the year. And I just thought, I haven't got the energy to do it. So it took me a few weeks, but I had to decide whether to go with the other business that I was building, or to put my heart and soul into direct marketing. I chose the network marketing route, and I've never looked back. So, yeah.
That is an incredible story. And what I love about it is you didn't go into it to become rich and famous. You were looking for some extra income for your family, and you worked it in and around your family and your life. And when that moment came, and I love that you described your moment, it's what do I love and enjoy? And you had a decision to make, and it was a big decision. And I've met other people that had that same decision. And when they choose, they made the right choice. And I love that you said you never look back, because I can see the joy in your face with the company that you're with. So you did several things. And could you maybe, when you investigated this company, you said you saw the right things. What were some of the right things that you saw about this company?
I actually already knew the right things. I just didn't know that this opportunity existed with this company. So I'm a very, very principled person, I guess you'd say. I'm completely against animal testing for cosmetic products and ingredients. I'm not afraid to stand up and shout about that. And I like to engage with things that make a positive difference to people's lives. And I already knew that the Body Shop ticked all of those boxes. But what I didn't know was that I could have this opportunity to share the work that they do as well, I guess, as well as being an ambassador for the company and sharing the products. So that's where it just all seemed to fall into place, really. My husband wasn't very happy. He said, what are you taking on now? You've not got time for all this. So, but there was something in my heart that just made me power on through.
One of the things I just noticed about your sharing is sometimes it's people who are the busiest that can benefit the most. They already know how to work ethically. They know what it takes and they just get it done. And what I appreciate is that in your joy of your work, it's so important. Years ago, I wrote a book on how to get a job you love. And the reason I did is I feel like it's working and earning an income are not always the same. A lot of people earn an income and they're very unhappy. And what I notice about entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and people who work with home-based business companies, they get to absolutely choose their time of day to work, their best time of day. They get to choose the people they work with. And they get to choose the products they want to work with. And they actually, in the long run, can build a residual income. And why I felt that was so important when I have been in the network marketing arena, which I am. If a person were to fall away, the income keeps continuing on. Sometimes when we have a family member, that a child or a parent or a husband that falls ill, we as women often have to take time away from our businesses. But if we're with a really good team or have created a really good team, we can actually step away and the business will continue to run. Whereas if we're working a job, if we step away and we have some, say, saved time to take off, that's great. But if we don't, or if we have 2 or 3 jobs, which many people do, then it can be very stressful. So can you share how that's worked with you, that as you worked your career, times that you may have stepped away, but your business kept running?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that I'd moved my grandmother round the corner to live nearby. She passed away. I actually moved her there the day before the boy's first birthday. And sadly, she passed away just a couple of weeks before their 4th birthday. There was nobody else who could, manage everything to do with when she was poorly and what have you. So it was perfect, really, just to be able to take a step back when I needed to, but when I could, also dip into the business there then as well. And I think that goes back to what you were saying about it doesn't necessarily feel like a job when you enjoy something. So it never felt labored. Even now, over 14 years on, I never wake up and think, I've got to work today. It's always a pleasure. It's not a chore. So yeah, there was that instance. And then other things as well, just like that go along with family life, kids starting school, being able to drop them off at school, pick them up. My eldest is off to uni in a couple of weeks. So not having to arrange time off to go shopping for things that she needs. I really value that flexibility above anything, really. I have a swimming lesson on a Monday morning. I do all sorts that you couldn't do if you were in a traditional 9-to-5 job. But that's not to say I don't work hard, because I do dip in at weekends and do evenings, etc. as well. But it's just really flexible and just fits
Mhm.
around the needs of a family life and
Mhm.
a busy person as well. So it's
Mhm.
opened up opportunities that I would never have dreamt of as well. You know,
Mhm.
hobbies for myself, and I coach the juniors at running club on a Tuesday night, and yeah, it's just it ticks every box for
Mhm.
like a nice balanced life, shall we say?
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's a
Yeah.
lifestyle indeed. Now, in saying that, we all know whether you're a wholesale retail business, whether you're a solopreneur, a, a a real estate agent, or many different businesses, that there are good times and there are hard times. And you and I were discussing this of how does that work when we have our home-based business and we're working away, and a company may, not your company or my company at this time, change something, or that there is some changes in the and anything, just change in general. And how did you handle some of these changes that may have occurred in a 14-year span?
Well, there's
Mhm.
been lots of changes. So, and I think, do you know what? There's so many books out there that you can read, so much guidance, and it really is about worrying about the things that you can control and not the things that you can't control, and just seeing those opportunities. So, you know, if it is something that you can't control, just thinking that's nothing, you know, I can't impact that, but what can I do to see that I benefit, or to see that, you know, my business just keeps continuing? And I do think that comes from the leader as well. You know, if somebody sees change and panics, that's going to cause panic further down as well. And I like to think I'm not a panicker. You know, something will come my way and I think, right, how can I work differently? What can I do differently? What can I change? And you know, we just keep going. Life isn't stable. Things happen in life all the time that can have the potential to derail us, but how do we just keep going? And I do think it is about controlling what you can control, not worrying too much about the things that you can't control, but working out how you can do things differently to just keep moving forward and taking the team forward with you.
Mhm. We saw that happen this last, of course, few years
Yeah.
with the pandemic itself. And suddenly, you were out and about, from what I understand, with your bike, weren't you, doing deliveries and
I still do
you
a
were
little bit, yeah.
I love it. I love that. So you were out and about, and suddenly I know that we were often said, "Don't go anywhere and be careful." And people probably didn't actually want us coming into their homes. And from that, things actually, tell us, got better in a sense. And
Yeah. I mean, we went from being very much face to face
Mhm.
to 100% not in front of people, just online. And I'd never really run my business like that. I was probably 80% face to face and 20% online. Um, so I had to learn very, very quickly how to make the most of that.
Mhm.
Luckily, you know, we do work together as a great team. And even if it's people who aren't invested in my business as such, there's a lot of people in the wider business who are really good at what they do, and happy to step in and offer training. And you know, I just learned really, really quickly so that I could guide the team, but bringing in experts, so to speak, in you know, the art of developing social media, and making sure as well that everybody was comfortable with what they were doing and that
Mhm.
they understood what they could and couldn't do within the
Mhm.
guidelines. And you know, we talk about change, things changed every couple of weeks, and people, well, what does that mean? What does that mean to my business? So you know, we get the information at the same time. You've got to absorb that information really quickly, work out what it means, and then
Mhm.
guide everybody forward. So
Mhm.
and yeah, when we couldn't go out in our cars, I literally walked miles. And but I've kept that going to these days. So, you know, locally,
Mhm.
if I've got an order to to drop off with somebody, I will do it on foot. I've walked over 2 miles this morning, dropping little samples off with people.
Mhm.
That gets me out. I love walking. I love the fresh air. And it's also, tying business into that as well. And if places are a bit further afield, then I might go on my bike. Not usually if it's up big hills, but using the bike just to get a little bit further. And that started in lockdowns, and we could tie in doorstep deliveries, as they were, with walks out with the family as well. And as well as that, I think it brought a lot of comfort to people as well, just being able to open the door and there's a little bag there, there's somebody at the end of the driveway giving them a little wave and a nice friendly smile, and then trotting off on the way. But yeah, if ever we've had to change, it was then. And now we're changing back again, but differently, I would say. A lot of people are approaching the business differently now. Maybe not as willing to get out and about and face to face. I don't know if that's confidence or just that the last 2 years have changed how people want to spend the time. So, we are still in change. We had a big change and now we're transitioning through another change, which is happening more slowly, I would say. It's not a direct line in the sand. So,
and with that, what I believe, and maybe you can validate this, is we're learning skills that can be transferred to anything. Actually, no matter what company we would ever work with. I know both of you and I are loyal to the companies we're with. But if that company were no more, what we have created is a network of clients and customers who will follow us anywhere. We've created a network of people that we know, like, and trust, that offer us opportunities on so many levels. We've created a larger family, in a sense, of people that would help us out in any way. I know that to be true. I love the skill set, though, because a skill set is more valuable than money in the bank. Because if you have no money in the bank, but you have a skill set, you can always go out and earn more money. So really what I'm hearing you say is, with your team, everyone has their own skill set, and then they can transfer that skill set to other people so that everyone knows and lifts up together. Would you say that's true for you?
Definitely. And what I think with this kind of business as well is that we very much grow into the business. So rather than being given a job that you then have to learn the skills to do, we kind of grow along with the business. So loads of skills that we learn along the way, whether it is pivoting in times of change or maintaining a positive outlook or coaching. A lot of people will speak publicly for the first time running a business like this, which, it might just be a small group of people, but it's something that they've never, ever done before. And that, I love people's reactions and how they feel afterwards is just amazing. The messages that you get after they've done something that really involves stepping outside of the comfort zone. So things like this,
Exactly.
taking opportunities to talk to wider audiences. But again, there's so many personal skills that you pick up that would be beneficial anywhere. So if like you say, if the company did disappear overnight, there is a lot that you can bring to the table in other industries, not even just the same industry.
Exactly. One of the things that I've noticed about this industry, it grew up when computers came in, because now everything's tracked. You can see your pay coming in. You can actually earn as much as you want to earn. Now, on a typical job, a traditional job, you go in and you have an agreement with that company. I will earn this much money. And when they choose, they may or may not give you a raise. They may or may not give you sick time, or they may or may not give you, vacation time. But with our lifestyle that we live with network marketing, what I've noticed is we can actually surpass people who introduced us to the business in income. As much as we want to work, we can make income. As much as we want to learn the skills to get us there, we can earn more income. And so I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize. They think, oh, you have to start when the company's small. No, that's an entrepreneur. That's a company like Apple, where there was one person, or Bill Gates, he was one person in his bedroom for years studying computers. He didn't, he is the top of the heap now, but it took him many, 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 many years to get there. But his employees don't make more than he does. Whereas we can work, and actually, some people work it a little bit and some people work it a lot. We can actually surpass people who introduced us to this business.
Yeah. Yeah. And even people who are at the top of the business. So there is no, like you say, there's no cap. The more effort you put in, the more you get out of it. So, and it is about working smartly, making sure that I think it's easy for people to, I call it falling into a scroll hole. So they might go on to post something on social media, and before they know it, they've been on there for 2 hours and replied to a few messages, but they haven't actually done anything that generates an income. And I think, that's probably one of the pitfalls. It is optional. People don't have to work, but if you put that effort in and make sure that you're smart with your time and you block your time, especially if you've got a busy family life, somebody can squeeze this business into a couple of hours a week and earn a really decent income. Other people might be more passive and just wait for the business to come to them. Obviously, that's never going to grow as much as somebody who's invested in the business and into finding new business. So that's...
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. One of a very, very prominent person in the industry is Tim Sales. And I'll never forget his story. He said on his half lunch hour, he would call people. And this was probably 40 years ago. But he would call people on his 30-minute lunch. He became a millionaire because he took 30 minutes on his lunch and took the time to reach out to people and said, hey, I've got this opportunity. Would you take a look at it? And I really appreciated that. It was consistency of purpose. It's like when we brush our teeth, or, we want to keep our teeth healthy, or we're doing exercise, or we plant a tree and go and water it every day. Eventually it's going to be a big tree, and maybe if it's a fruit tree, it's going to be blossoming. And so I kind of think of it that way, is if we are consistently doing something, that it absolutely will happen, especially if we keep learning the skills and not just say, oh, I've tried it, that's it, and they're done. And what I appreciate about you, Christine, is through thick and thin, raising children, caring for people, having another business, and then suddenly knowing which way to go, and consistently serving your clients. You've not only created a lifestyle, but an income and a joyful, actually, it creates a joyful life, is what I'm hearing you say. I can see that smile on your face.
I think so. And, family is what makes me happy. And just, I think I'm quite a simple person at heart. I like the freedom. And just being able to do things like have nice holidays with the family, that kind of thing, and not always having to wonder whether you can say yes to certain demands that they put on. But I do like your analogy, actually, about the fruit tree. I might use that in the future. But the exactly what you were saying about the 30 minutes a day, if you look at the cumulative effect of that and how that builds up over time, over a week, over a month, over a year, even though it's a small time commitment daily, it can have big results over, when sustained over a longer period of time. It reminded me of a book that I read, The Compound Effect, which is all about just little actions taken repeatedly, and how the difference, what difference they make over time.
One other thing I noticed is you have children. Now, these children have watched you. And what's interesting is children follow their parents often of what they do. good or bad. And what you've given your children is, this is what it looks like to have your own business, to have your own lifestyle, and that you chose it and you created it. I think that that is one of the most valuable things a person could do, is to share this with their own children, because they're going to see the value. Now, they may have typical jobs, but they're always going to know, hey, that's what mom did. And it could change the trajectory of what they call wealth that moves from generational to generation, because you're giving your kids opportunities that another child with a parent, I think Robert Kiyosaki said, rich dad, poor dad. His dad was a professor, died poor. His father, or his friend's father, was an entrepreneur and was very wealthy. And Robert Kiyosaki saw that. And he said, wait a minute here. You can, and I love education. We want an education. But at the same time, there's books like The Millionaire Next Door. And they're generally people who have a business. They're very quiet, like yourself. They're just living their life. And meanwhile, they're building up wealth, in a sense, behind the scenes, not spending it on fancy cars, not spending it on, lavish lifestyle, but they're just working away, building a mini empire, in a sense, that can then generationally fast forward it to the children. Now, some of the companies I know that are out there, you literally can will your assets in that business to your children. And I think that's fascinating. You couldn't do that with a job.
No. But one of the things I was going to say something that you made me think of. It was with the kid. I think my children have got a real appreciation that if you don't, if you want something, you've got to work hard for it, that nothing comes to you in life for free. And they've really been on a journey with me. When they were young, they'd come to events with me, they'd pester for sweets and things all day, or they'd help serve people or talking to people. So they've learned those interpersonal skills as well from an early age. Or they might have just, sat down and coloured in a colouring book or whatever it might be. But they've actually been, not many children will see the parents. Well, I suppose it's changed a bit with the last couple of years, but generally not many children would watch the parents working and I suppose be as involved in the work. My son's just come in there, but I've put a little post-it note on the door saying filming in progress. So they've got an appreciation. They know, not to knock on the door and say hi, but then afterwards we'll have a chat about what were you filming, So
yeah. So it's really thrilling to meet someone like yourself, Christine. Again, the pandemic has created a space for us to meet from around the world we probably never would have met before. Zoom itself and all the media, the social media, gives space for us to really literally meet wonderful people everywhere. And I think that that's the juiciest thing for myself, is that that the world has expanded for us, not really contracted like a lot of people thought. It's actually expanded, and that we now have worldwide businesses, because I know you can do business in US, I can do business in UK, and isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, because we've done things differently over the last couple of years, we have met people who we would never have met before, whether that is in your home country or further afield. And again, that comes down to being open to having those conversations with people as well, and interacting and building relationships.
Yes, that's it. The bottom line is building relationships. It's been so grand to get to know you a little bit more. I know you and I are going to have some more conversations about this, because it's very valuable to know, what does a lifestyle look like, having a home-based business, and what does it take to have a home-based business? And I think you and I have both been able to do that. and we invite people to come and listen into this interview and to reach out to Christine. Um, Christine, let's see, Greg, can you bring up Christine's website for us? He'll be here, and people can reach out to you. And can you share a little bit about your website here?
Yeah, so this is my website, which is really like customer facing. This isn't the selling website. It's not the personal website that people can order through, but this is a little bit more storytelling. It's where I place my blogs. It's where I tell stories of other consultants. The photos were actually taken in the first lockdown last year, actually, hence the roots. And they were taken from the indoor ones were taken with the photographer in the back garden through the open doors. So it just shows that you can make things work, whatever the circumstances. So, but yeah, this is really a storytelling website, I suppose. It's insight into the industry, what being a consultant's all about, and I share new product news, etc. there as well. So quite really vlogs and blogs, I would say, on there.
Well, that's fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on Storyvan TV. And
Thank
people
you for having me.
Oh, it was so much fun. And we look forward again, probably before the holidays, because I know you're going to have some holiday products come up. And reach out to Christine, reach out to myself. We're happy to share. There's no pushing, no shoving. It's just sharing about what we do and why we love it. And we invite you to take a look at the industry because it's really important to have multiple streams of income in these days. So thank you again for Storyvan TV, and we look forward to our future next time we have a chat.
Thank you.